Okay, we're off.
Hello, David.
Here.
What message have you got for the journalists who work at the BBC?
Well, journalists who work for the BBC, and I was one. The message is think for yourself, and don't take the norms in society. And this is what I would say to any journalist: don't take the norms in society as the point of reference for how you see the world and how you report the world, because that's what happens. I saw it in journalism myself. People say, so you're saying that all journalists are involved in, they're all manipulating. No. What happens in journalism, mainstream journalism I'm talking about, is they take the norms in society at any point, and that's their point of reference. So anyone that is saying or doing things outside of those norms is in my case, ridiculed because they're outside the norm. So a few centuries ago, today's journalists would have ridiculed anyone who said the Earth was round, because the norm was at that time that it was flat. And so it's important for journalists to open their minds to see that the norms are not necessarily everything there is to know. But then you've got the next level with the BBC and mainstream journalism in general, in which there are limits to what you're allowed to put out. You know, if you reported someone like me in a, this guy takes the points and this and all this stuff, then that's fine. You can report me on that level. But if you said, okay, we're gonna do this report or this documentary on this guy, and actually we're going to take seriously what he's saying, not that we're going to believe it, but what we're going to do is we're going to go with an open mind and we're going to look at the evidence, then that's a completely different situation. And I doubt very much if that would be acceptable, and certainly would never make the air. I've been interviewed a couple of times by tabloid journalists who wanted to do, in the last occasion, a 2-page feature about what I was saying about me, and all the photographs were taken and everything. But his article was going to be, actually, this guy's not crazy, and he might be saying this, but hey, you know, never made the paper, never got in, just never ever used. And this guy was a named frontline writer for that paper, never used. So there are two things running together in journalism. One is the closed-mindedness of most journalists, certainly not all, and the other thing is even those that are open to seeing life in a more expansive way, they then face the block of the structure. And the worst kind of censorship is self-censorship. This is how the system works. It's like the mouse in the laboratory maze. If you're going to get a shock all the time for going down these channels, then you stop going down them, and you can take the shock technology away, and the mouse won't go down there anymore because it's been shocked too many times. And with journalists, if you know that if you cross a certain line in what you write, then there's going to be, it's either going to get spiked, not used, or there's going to be a problem for you, then eventually most journalists know the line they shouldn't cross. And there's a very interesting documentary which is available through the internet. It's about, I forget what it's called now, but it's about Fox News. And it's a documentary talking to former people who work for Fox News, of course Murdoch's station in America, which is the most biased station I've ever seen. And they tell this whole story of how there's such limits on what they can say and how they can report things, that in the end you just stop putting it in or offering it or doing it if it crosses that line. Self-censorship's the worst thing, because then, you know, there's no confrontation, there's no debate, hey, why is this being censored? It just isn't done, and that's the worst kind of censorship. And journalists who succumb to that, well, they've succumbed to any connection to the word journalist for me.